where the shadows sleep. It began 3 weeks after the funeral. The first time it happened, Mara woke in the middle of the night, heart pounding, lungs burning, unable to move. The room was drenched in silence, the kind that pressed against the skin. Her eyes flicked to the foot of the bed. Someone was standing there, a shape, a silhouette darker than the dark around it, motionless, watching. She wanted to scream, but her throat wouldn't obey. Only her heart seemed capable of movement, thrashing wildly against her ribs until the world blurred. Then, as quickly as it came, the paralysis lifted. The figure was gone. She told herself it was grief, exhaustion. The house felt too big, too empty without Daniel. But the shadows kept returning. By the 5th night, Mara had stopped sleeping in their bedroom. She moved to the couch, clutching one of his shirts like a talisman. Even there, the nightmares followed. The figure appeared at the end of the hallway, closer each time. Her therapist called it a manifestation of trauma. Your mind processing loss through sensory illusion, she'd said with clinical calm. But Mara knew what she'd seen. The figure wasn't faceless anymore. It had form, shoulders she knew, the slope of a jaw she had once kissed. Daniel. One evening, after too much wine and too little courage, she went into his study for the first time since he died. Everything was untouched, his watch on the desk, a half-finished manuscript, the faint smell of cedar and aftershave. She sat in his chair, running her hands along the smooth grain of the desk, her eyes catching on the folder marked insurance. Her pulse spiked. Inside were documents she hadn't seen before, amendments, notes in Daniel's handwriting, a signature she didn't remember him making. But a lump formed in her throat. She remembered the argument that night, how she'd screamed at him about the debts, the lies, the risk of losing everything. How he'd stormed out into the rain, shouting that he'd fix it or die trying. Hours later, the police came to tell her his car had gone off the bridge. The next night, the paralysis came again, stronger, colder. Mara's eyes flew open, and there he was, closer than ever. Not at the foot of the bed this time, standing beside her. The air hummed, heavy with static. His voice, low and familiar, broke the silence. "Why did you let me go?" Tears burned her eyes. "You're not real. You watched me drown." Her body convulsed, still frozen. "Stop. You wanted it." "No," she gasped, her words strangled against the weight on her chest. "I didn't mean." The shadow leaned closer, its face flickering between nothingness and the man she loved. "Then wake up, Mara." She bolted upright, this time free to move, gasping for air. The room was empty, her sheets drenched with sweat. The clock blinked 3:03 a.m. Her mind swirled between memory and guilt, between what she'd said and what she hadn't. Had she called him that night to apologize? Or had she only thought about it? She couldn't remember any more. Days passed. The world went gray. The house, once their shared sanctuary, now pulsed with unease. Every creak, every hum of the refrigerator felt like a whisper from beneath the walls. She stopped answering calls, stopped going out. The mirror in their bedroom stayed covered. She couldn't stand the emptiness staring back. Then, one morning, she woke to find muddy footprints leading from the door to the side of her bed. Small puddles of water shimmered against the carpet. Her breath hitched. The smell of river water hung in the air. That night, Mara didn't fight the paralysis. She waited for it. When it came, she was calm, her body locked, but her mind sharp, ready. The figure stood at the edge of the bed again, silent, unmoving. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have called you. I should have gone after you." The shadow flickered, trembling like smoke in the wind. "I blamed you for everything," she continued, tears streaming down her cheeks. "But it was me. I wanted freedom. I wanted out." The silence deepened. Then, softly, Daniel's voice replied, weary, tender, "Then let me go." The room brightened with pale light. The weight lifted from her chest. For the first time in months, she could breathe. At dawn, the house was quiet. Sunlight spilled through the curtains, touching the space beside her pillow. A faint trace of moisture glimmered there, a perfect circle, like a tear. Mara smiled weakly and whispered, "Goodbye." And for the first time since the bridge, the shadows slept.